Good morning, dear students. Today's topic for discussion is prostaglandins and leukotrienes. So, what is prostaglandins and leukotrienes? These are group of drugs which belongs or which are biologically active derivatives of 20 carbon atoms, where these 20 carbon atoms are collectively called as eicosanoids, and these eicosanoids are derived from or released from cell membrane phospholipids. Okay, so prostaglandins are eicosanoids. Eicosanoid meaning 20 carbon atom derived from the cell membrane phospholipids. So, prostaglandin is a generic name for a group of closely related cyclical oxygenated 20 carbon atom containing unsaturated fatty acid, as I told you. Now, these 20 carbon atoms, that is eicosanoids, contain prostaglandins, thromboxane A2, leukotrienes, and platelet activated factor. So, from where is prostaglandins derived? They are derived from prostanoic acid, which contains 20 carbon fatty acid. In humans, it was discovered in semen by a scientist named as Ulf. He named the substance as prostaglandin that was released from the prostate gland, where they were first thought to originate. Now, the main inflammatory mediator derived from the membrane phospholipids are eicosanoids. I told you these eicosanoids, which are prostaglandins and leukotrienes, are derived from the membrane phospholipids. Now, with the help of phospholipase A2, they are formed. Okay, so from the cell membrane phospholipids, with the help of phospholipase A2, they form arachidonic acid, another 20 carbon atom, which further converts into eicosanoids, which includes the prostaglandins, thromboxane A2, LT, that is leukotrienes, and platelet activated factor. Okay, this is a slide which we are bothered about. We need to study the synthesis of prostaglandins. Okay, so from the phospholipids, membrane phospholipids, with the help of phospholipase A2, it forms arachidonic acid, which is otherwise known chemically termed as eicosanotetraenoic acid. With the help of various enzymes, it is converted to leukotrienes, prostaglandins, and other non-specified arachidonic acids. Okay. We need to study two enzymes, lipoxygenase enzyme and cyclooxygenase enzyme. With the help of lipoxygenase enzyme, it gets converted from arachidonic acid, it gets converted to leukotrienes, and with the help of cyclooxygenase enzyme, it gets converted to prostaglandins. So this is a much bigger picture of the synthesis of prostaglandins with the subtypes. Okay, so recalling once again, membrane phospholipids, with the help of phospholipase A2, it gets converted to arachidonic acid. For the conversion of arachidonic acid to prostaglandin, we require cyclooxygenase enzyme. As you all have studied under the chapter NSAIDs, there are two types of cyclooxygenase, 1 and 2. One which is widely present everywhere, the other is inducible and induced by cytokines during inflammations only. Now these two will lead to the conversion of arachidonic acid to PGG2, prostaglandin G2. From G2 it is converted to H2, and from H2 it is further converted to PGI2, PGE2, PGF2 alpha, PGD2, and thromboxane A2. These are the few prostaglandin derivatives that you should study by heart. The subtypes should be studied by heart. Now, as you see in the picture, as we all know, NSAID acts by inhibiting cyclooxygenase enzyme. While if you give steroids, from the phospholipase A2 step itself, it gets inhibited because corticosteroid inhibits phospholipase A2. So these two important steps also you should remember in the biosynthesis of prostaglandins. So membrane phospholipase will get converted to arachidonic acid with the help of phospholipase A2, later to PGE2 and H2, where it is further divided into I2, thromboxane A2, and PGE2 F2. Now coming to leukotriene. Leukotriene, with the help of lipooxygenase, gets converted from arachidonic acid. Lipooxygenase gets converted to leukotrienes, and these were first discovered or found in leukocytes, and their main what you say function was bronchoconstriction. Leukotrienes are products of lipoxygenase pathway, and lipoxygenase enzyme are present in the cytosol, and they mainly act on the respiratory system, causing bronchoconstriction. This is the simple step of leukotriene or lipoxygenase pathway, where from the membrane phospholipase, same the enzyme 5-phospholipase A2 gets converted to arachidonic acid, and later it forms 5-HPETTE to leukotriene A4, then leukotriene B4, and from A4 itself you form C4, D4 and E4. Now coming to the leukotriene modulators. As I told you, you might have studied this part also in bronchial asthma, where the antagonists are used in treatment of COPD and bronchial asthma. Coming to 5-lipoxygenase inhibitor, Xolutin. The drug inhibiting the enzyme is called Xolutin. And leukotriene receptor antagonists are zafirlocast, montelukast and iralukast. Okay. Okay, a small note about the platelet activating factors. Like eicosanoids, platelet activating factor is a cell membrane derived polar lipid with intense biological activity. Now, if you see PAF, that is platelet activating factor, is acylglyceryl ether phosphoryl choline. Chemical name is this. Okay, now synthesis and degradation, if you ask, it is synthesized from phospholipids, as we have studied. Degradation involves multiple steps, as you have seen in this picture. Now, in contrast to eicosanoids, the type of cells which synthesize PAF is quite limited, not present or everywhere, only very limited places, mainly WBC, platelets, vascular endothelium, and kidneys. Moreover, instead of clinical uses, it plays a role in pathological situations. Coming to the pharmacological actions of PAF, if you ask me, it causes vasodilation in the endothelium. As I told, their site is very limited. They are present in the vascular endothelium. They causes vasodilatation and increase vascular permeability. They are chemotactic to the eosinophils and neutrophils, causes activation and aggregation of platelets. In the platelets, their action is activation and aggregation of platelets. PAF are produced by fetus at the final term and involved in progression of labor, and also it is a potent ulcerogen. Okay, PAF synthesis is inhibited by glucocorticoids. Okay, coming to the pharmacological action of each prostanoids. Okay, now in eye, the prostaglandin present are PGE2 and PGF2. I hope you might remember in the earlier after ANS you studied a chapter named as treatment for glaucoma. Under glaucoma, a drug named as latanoprost, which are PGF2 alpha derivatives, that is prostaglandin derivatives. So increase in prostaglandins helps in decreasing IOP by uveoscleral pathway drainage. They increases the drainage and help to decrease IOP. So there should be increase, that is, if prostaglandins are given, it helps to decrease IOP and hence help in glaucoma. So PGF2 alpha and PGE2 promote uveoscleral pathway drainage and decreases IOP. Second system, respiratory system. In respiratory system, PGE2 and I2, these two will cause bronchodilation, while F2 alpha and thromboxane A2 leukotrienes will cause bronchoconstriction. If you compare bronchoconstriction with bronchodilation, the power of bronchodilation is more than bronchial constriction. And as I told, under the topic leukotrienes, the leukotrienes are powerful bronchoconstrictors. Coming to CVS, PGE2, they cause vasodilatation, they increase cardiac output, cause capillary permeability, and they help to maintain the ductus arteriosus patent and maintain placental blood flow. Some patient, I hope you remember a condition named as patent ductus arteriosus. That is that there is patency in the connecting artery. So in some cases we need to make it patent also. For those babies, we can give the analogues of PGE2 to maintain the patency. Okay, so PGE2 will cause vasodilatation, increase cardiac output, capillary permeability, and also helps to maintain the patency of ductus arteriosus. Now PGI2 is a vasodilator, decreases the coronary resistance plus pulmonary as well as peripheral resistance. The main function of I2 is vasodilation plus decreasing all the resistance. Coming to PGF2 alpha and thromboxane A2 in CNS, they are vasoconstrictors. Remember, E2 and I2 were dilators, while F2 alpha and thromboxane A2 are constrictors. As you saw in the respiratory system also, two were dilators and two were constrictors. In the GIT, again in the chapter GIT, you might have studied prostaglandin analogs, which are used in the gastric acid decreasing the gastric acid secretion. So from that you can understand they help in decreasing acid secretion. The analogs include PGE2 and PGI2. These two increases mucus secretion or mucus production, increases the mucus blood flow and will decrease acid secretion. PGE2 will also increases the water and electrolyte secretion, that can cause diarrhea. If in override secrete normally they won't, but they help to maintain the water and electrolyte secretion. So GIT, you should remember, it can be it is good for it will decrease acid secretion, and increase mucus production. Okay. Under kidney, what you see is it is produced by the renal medulla. E2 and I2 will cause natriuresis, renal vasodilatation, will inhibit ADH secretion and also help to stimulate renin secretion. PGE2 will decrease chlorine reabsorption and thromboxane A2 will cause vasoconstriction and also has an ADH-like effect. So these are the different roles that prostaglandin will do in different systems. Okay, coming to the next part where prostaglandin play a major role, that is inside the platelets. Inside the platelets, if you see PGE1 and I2 causes platelet inhibition of platelet aggregation, while thromboxane A2 will cause platelet aggregation. Random opposite action ആണ്. Everywhere you see opposite action of platelets. ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ആക്ടിവേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുക അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഇൻഹിബിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ റെസ്പിറേറ്ററി സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ CVSലും കണ്ടു, അതേപോലെ തന്നെ പ്ലേറ്റ്ലെറ്റ്സിലും. You should remember thromboxane A2. നിങ്ങൾ ഈ A2 ഓർത്താൽ it causes aggregation എന്ന് ഓർത്താൽ the other side will inhibit aggregation. Please understand the difference between the group of prostaglandin which will aggregate and which will inhibit. Okay. Now one more thing in aspirin. In the chapter antiplatelets you might have studied. Aspirin is used or act as an antiplatelet, while low dose of aspirin will act on the platelet and inhibit thromboxane A2. This is how they bring about the action. In the uterus, the main role is by E2 and F2 alpha. It causes contraction. In pregnant ladies, it helps in contraction and expulsion of the fetus. In non-pregnant ladies, it will cause a relaxation, while F2 alpha will cause contraction itself. Okay. PG in low doses will soften cervix. Now these uses are this role of prostaglandin is utilized in gynec during different stages of pregnancy. If you require abortion, contraction of uterus is required, so you will be use PGF2 alpha or E2 derivatives. Now coming to the male reproductive system, they help to enhance penile erection or smooth muscle relaxation, increases blood flow. This property is shown by PG prostaglandins, and that property is used for preventing or in the treatment of penile dysfunction. They utilize this property. In CNS, it causes fever or it has a pyrogenic effect, especially E1 and E2. In the peripheral nerve endings, PGs or prostaglandins are inflammatory mediators and they sensitizes pain receptors. Endocrine, they facilitate the release of growth hormone, TSH, ACTH, FSH, LH and prolactin. Bone metabolism, they stimulate the bone resorption. Coming to the therapeutic uses of prostanoids and their analogs. ഞാനിപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞ യൂസസ് എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും ഒക്കെ ഓർക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുക. ചില ഗ്രൂപ്പ് inhibit, ചില ഗ്രൂപ്പ് activate. Under platelets, you should remember thromboxane A2 causes aggregation, the other part cause inhibition. Now, using those property with their using the properties of prostaglandins, okay, they used therapeutically. First one, നമ്മൾ ഒബ്സിലോട്ട് പോവാണ്, obstetrics, where all prostaglandins are used. As I told you, PGE2 and F2 alpha ആണ് നമ്മൾ കൂടുതലും obstetric കേസിൽ നോക്കുന്നത്. And these two both causes contraction, they used in the termination of pregnancy. First trimester ആണെങ്കിൽ we use misoprostol, which is a PGE1 analog, which is given orally with mifepristone or methotrexate. What is mifepristone? It is an anti-progesterone, and methotrexate, it is an anti-cancer drug to induce abortion in first few weeks of pregnancy. So in first trimester നമുക്ക് abort ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ we usually give an analog of prostaglandin PGI1, that is misoprostol. It is combined with mifepristone or methotrexate. Now in the second trimester we usually prescribe dinoprost, which is PGF2 alpha derivative. Another derivative, that is carboprost, which is given intra-amniotic injection for abortion, least for the lesser side effects, because it has lesser side effects. The dinoprostone, that is PGE2, given vaginally for inducing abortion, helps in ripening a cervix for induction of labor at full term. And also the common side effects or usual side effects of prostaglandin for such cases include profuse or prolonged bleeding. Okay, these are the uses of prostaglandin under gynec area. Coming to the GIT, as I told you, I hope in the GIT chapter you might remember prostaglandin analogs used in treatment of peptic ulcer. So they are used in treatment of peptic ulcer, PGE2 and PGI1. Okay, these are the two analogs which are used, increasing mucus production and increasing mucus blood flow. Also it decreases the gastric acid secretion. The analogs includes misoprostol and enoprostol. These are the two analogs under peptic ulcer. Now I told you platelet aggregation. Who inhibits platelet aggregation? I told I2, PGI2. So this property is used in renal dialysis to prevent platelet aggregation during dialysis. The analog's name is epoprostenol. So epoprostenol, which is PGI2, inhibits platelet aggregation during renal dialysis. Dialysis patients are more prone to aggregation of platelets, and this PGI2 analog epoprostenol is used to prevent aggregation. Then coming to treatment of pulmonary hypertension. Again PGI2, which will lower the pulmonary peripheral pulmonary and coronary resistance, is useful in treating pulmonary hypertension. IV infusion of epoprostenol, which is PGI2 analog, and treprostinil is used to treat pulmonary hypertension. Peripheral vascular disease, biraprost analog is PGI2, given thrice a day, causes again the peripheral resistance are decreased, also vasodilatory property. Then coming to treatment of glaucoma, latanoprost, which is a PGF2 alpha, okay, will increase the UV scleral pathway, that is drainage, and decreases the IOT. Other drugs under prostaglandin analogs include bimatoprost and travoprost. Again in the uses I told you, the patency of ductus arteriosus. Prostaglandins are used in the patency to maintain the patency of ductus arteriosus. The analog includes PGE2 and I2. They have a vasodilatory property and will inhibit the platelet aggregation. IV infusion, especially in congenital heart disease, pulmonary artery stenosis, alprostadil is the drug. Alprostadil is the analog, PGE1 analog, and epoprostenol is the PGI2 analog, which is used to maintain the patency of ductus arteriosus. In erectile dysfunction, again prostaglandin has a role, enhanced spinal erection. This is also shown by alprostadil with the analog PGE1. In bronchial asthma, bronchodilation is produced, but cough is the main side effect, so not used very commonly in bronchial asthma. Coming to the side effects, prostaglandin exhibits dose-related adverse effects like bronchoconstriction, hypotension, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, dizziness, and flushing. Now, carboprost, which is an intra-amniotic injection, as I mentioned earlier, induces second trimester abortion and can cause anaphylactic shock when given and severe collapse. Alprostadil, which is a PGE1 analog, used for maintaining patency of ductus arteriosus for long term, may lead to ductus fragility and rupture. Misoprostol and N-prostil, which has GI discomfort and may cause diarrhea. PGE or EP4, osteoclast and osteoblast activity, and may induce hypercalciuria. These are the side effects of prostaglandins and their analogues. This is the roundup or summary of all the analogues I have mentioned and how it is being given with their uses. Dinoprostone, vaginal tab or gel which can be used for induction of labor, midterm abortion. Dinoprost, again intraamniotic injection, midterm abortion. Carboprost, again IM or intraamniotic, midterm abortion plus control of PPH, postpartum hemorrhage. Gemiprost, another one which is given as vaginal pessary, cervical ripening in early pregnancy. Alprostadil, which is a PGE1 analog, can be given IV infusion as well as intracavernosal. Intracavernosal mainly for erectile dysfunction. Intravenous infusion or injection mainly to maintain the patency of ductus arteriosus in neonates. Misoprostol and enoprostol orally can be given to prevent peptic ulcer or treatment in peptic ulcer, and they also help in abortion, first trimester abortion. Epoprostinol, I told you, it is given IV infusion in renal patient to prevent aggregation and also in treating pulmonary hypertension. Latanoprost, topically, usually for treatment of glaucoma. Iloprost, given IM to decrease the infarct size when given IM after MI. It helps in decreasing the infarct size. So these are the uses and the analogues of prostaglandins. This is a quite confusing chapter because some have aggregatory, some have inhibitory, some have useful properties. Please go through the chapter, read it once or twice and understand the topic. If you have any doubt, please do ask. Thank you.